have indicated with their opening remarks. We're all connected to each other, whether we like it or not. I see people here of different color, different race, different gender. Guess what? Our DNA is almost 100% alike. So wherever you come from, thank you, Corinne, wherever you come from, whatever your origin, we are brothers and sisters here. Whether you're homophobic or supportive or religious or not religious, you are my brother, you are my sister. So suck it up, get over it. I used to teach junior high. We cause each other pain and grief, but we here today are going to recognize and witness the victims of violence that we do to each other in the larger sense and in personal ways, sometimes with malice, sometimes with accident, sometimes in ignorance, sometimes by standing by and not doing a damn thing, as is happening with our Aboriginal people, our brothers and sisters. You're hearing the news of what's happened to these wonderful people who have the same flaws, same joys, concerns, and the same gifts as we all have. And yet we as Canadians stand by, and we have allowed this history of genocide to be perpetrated on a people within our own land. And yet we have someone like myself who comes along and wants to talk about genocide in other countries. And I think we have to look at our own history. I invite different people to come forward and speak. Some people have poetry, some people have little sections to read in my little book, and I'm going to call them up. They have graciously agreed to come and speak today from their heart and from their perspective in the garden before we place the stones. And I have to talk about the garden for a moment because the author of the garden is sitting here. And Jordan, would you please stand up? This is my son Jordan, who gave me no kind of hard times. And I wished him to have children like himself, and he did. Jordan came to me one day, and he's a landscape artist, and he has groomed the trees and done all this work. And he said, "Mother, you should have a dry riverbed in your yard." And I said, "It's too small." So this went on for about 3 years. I gave in. And this is the result. And I had visited Europe with my daughter, and we placed little stones at the Holocaust memorials and so on. When I came home, I thought that I would do the same thing with the garden because it was so beautiful. And I was sitting in that window and thought I would have one ceremony and one stone for the Holocaust, honoring and witnessing to not just the Jewish people who were destroyed, but the gypsies, the homosexuals, and the intelligentsia of Europe that were destroyed before the Nazis took over. They got rid of the teachers, they got rid of the Niebers and the Niemöllers and so on, because they were actually like you and I. They spoke out and they said things, and they objected to what was happening, and they were rounded up first. I actually saw a place called Breitenau, which was a concentration camp for intelligentsia that they didn't have a chance to destroy when the Allies came in. And there were records there of people who were professors and teachers and ministers and priests and so on. Anyway, part of that story was I decided to have that dedicated to the Holocaust. And then I was sitting right there listening to the CBC news broadcast saying that the Congolese army was raping and murdering virgins. So after crying for 4 or 5 hours, I said to myself, Rwanda, Somalia, Ethiopia, the Dutch, all over. And we will be reading some of those names as we go along. But first I'd like to invite Leo Campos to come forward and to say a few words and to read his poem. And after that, jazz. And then the Raging Grannies are going to do their thing. Thank you, Leo, for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. getting to a certain age when I have to wear reading glasses. It's good to be in the presence of elders.
Louder, please.
It's good to be in the presence of elders and community healers and friends. It will be wonderful if all of the people of the world rose up and it will be wonderful if all of the people of the world rose up and refused to allow armed conflict. If we said, never more, no más, enough. If we demanded that the United Nations do the job for which it was created and stop the mad rush of humanity towards its own destruction. Somehow there has to be a way to refuse these crimes and to dedicate our lives, or rededicate to our lives to the cause of peace. Perhaps we begin with this gathering, now, tomorrow, the day after, and become conscious of a conscious witness to the cruelty and the pain that we have brought onto each other, onto ourselves, at home and abroad, and make a commitment to work towards peace for the rest of our lives. I'm originally from Chile. Some of you already know that. Some don't. I left Chile many years ago following a military coup, September 11, 1973. The pain of that military coup, the overthrow of a democratically elected president, is something that, as one of my elders here, will remain with me forever. That pain pales compared to the sorrows and tragedies of other genocidal policies or instituted policies or political upheaval, human rights abuses in the past. Of course, I'm thinking the Jewish people, the Rwandese people, the Sudanese people, my friend there, Congolese. The list is very long. Most of you know it already. But Reverend Audrey thought that maybe our story, which I put into a piece of work, a poem that I wrote a while back, might have a place, notwithstanding, within this community. It's called Santiago. Santiago, September 11, 1973. This is our 9/11. The path was lost under the shadows of tanks, concentration camps, torture calling her name, a friend's body. Dust and silence cover the city. Hope agonized, frozen in the glacial ice of the shattered spirits. Alone, they wander, surrounded only by the smoky chimneys of the working class barrios and the factories where Victor Jara used to sing. Fear was the middle name of the new rulers. For a time, the search was on, navigating tumultuous waters without destination. There was no rhythm, no songs, no compass to guide them. Death passed by and smiled. Los descamisados, the underclass, the underdogs, and the intellectuals fell for the first time alone, dying thousands of times amid the madness of machine guns, black boots, and the relentless screams of their companions. Yes, there they were, blasting the national anthem day and night, shamelessly laughing our sorrows, parading incessantly the new world order, blindly embracing its darkness. The lost tribe moved through nocturnal abysses, fighting futile battles with the killers of the roses, the murderers of songs, the poet assassins. How did you fight an army when you have no guns? Underground broadcast became the new normal. Bring me the stencils and let us fix the broken presses right now. Use chalks on the streets, on the walls. Glue handwritten flyers on lampposts. Pass the canister, damn it. Resist! That's how. Awake in the middle of the night, holding the sweet hands of their lovers, they sat in circles, listening to fairy tales as if to recapture their lost innocence, cleanse their ideological naivete. The pale skins, unabated bones needed to feel again. See, touch, smell, be hugged, love, and afraid. How to explain their despair? How to make sense of the opulence of the seemingly victorious? What to make of the rumors that some savior was coming down from the Andes to lead us to a new dawn? Leaving the promised land wasn't easy. And so it was that in search of hope, the tribe traveled to unknown destinations. Exotic names, unpronounceable words. Distance clouded their memories. They grew old. The new geography became the alchemist of the then and now, making the pain and the human losses left behind a constant nightmare to process with therapists, employment counselors, and social workers. They slowly became unabridged, once again whole. Here they come to new shores. They are now in many places, a diaspora of flesh and bones, carrying a heavy luggage of ideas to rediscover, to reinvent themselves, in a matter of speaking. Today, there are no more strangers who have settled on new territories, or married, becoming fathers, mothers. They have blended, silently healing all wounds. They found a new place to call home. A new song they sing, and from time to time, remember.